This particular project was always going to be difficult because it was working with a live building where the client was always going to be operating forklift trucks around us and moving stock. So when we approached this project, we had to go through many workshops with the client, talking about how we're going to approach the works. Air testing, was that going to be necessary because it's a non-licensed product? We also offered to do workshops with their awareness training days with their staff from all levels, from supervisor through to shop worker through to management, so that everybody was fully briefed on the work that was going to be undertaken. This particular job is the removal of the roof and the canopy areas, and the wall cladding was secondary. We undertook the work on the roof while having debris netting, having crawl boards and all necessary safety equipment. The works entailed also replacing the wall cladding, and that's also the same cement product as what's on the roof. The cement is a matrix, the asbestos fibre is built into the matrix of the cement, so it's a non-notifiable, non-licensable product in its current state. If that product was to be broken up, then it could, going through the matrix of the HSE, it could have been made into a notifiable product, but still non-licensed. The differences are through the flowchart. If you follow the flowchart that the HSE have produced, that will tell you what you should be, which way you should be going in terms of licensed or non-licensed. What makes this particular product non-licensable is the fact that it's locked into this matrix, and that's the key. Notifiable products are normally more friable. You're normally very easy to disturb the fibres, and that should be undertaken by a licensed contractor. Prior to undertaking these works, we were supplied by the client a asbestos survey report of the building, which was undertaken back in 2011. And that there detailed all the areas that we knew prior to undertaking the work, where the areas were. There are some notifiable items on this site, but we're nowhere near them. All the non-notifiable works were highlighted to us, and that were the canopies, the roof and the wall sheets. The survey report is, we always ask for that so that our operatives can then look over, well, they're asked to look over that to ensure that they know where the areas that are affected with asbestos. Because as you can appreciate, we don't always know the sites that we're working on, as well as the people that work in them. On this particular site, we also we're asked to supply air monitoring as part of our works. Although this isn't a normal practice for non-notifiable works, this was used by our client as a safeguard that their operatives who were working in the site while we were operating were still within the safe limits and not above the actionable level. Now, every time that we have removed any asbestos within the area, this has always taken place, and we've had 3 pumps within the area to prove the air. We also ensure that the areas are all secured with arras fencing so that no operatives from our client can enter the areas. We'd walk the job, so we'd all look at what the works were to be undertaken. We'd create or undertake a toolbox talk while looking at the project of what we're going to actually be undertaking that day. Toolbox talks we ordinarily undertake on a daily basis, depending on what the scheduled works are for that day. If they're obviously repetitive, then that would then take the same lead as the day before. The operatives are all qualified to be able to drive the MUPs, the mobile elevated working platforms. Also, they would all have IPAF licences for those. For the telehandler, they would have their licence for being able to drive the telehandler. So what we'd have is we'd have the guys dressed out in their PPE, which would, starting from the bottom, would be their toe protection. We supply workwear, we knee pads, not necessarily required on a wall cladding job, but on a roof job. They would have a paper suit if they were taking the asbestos off. They'd have half face mask or a P3 face mask. They would have goggles or glasses, depending on what the works were being undertaken, and hard hat and gloves. So, and if they're going to be doing grinding and cutting, then they'd have full ear protection as well. They would then approach the roof sheet. We would cut the bolt above the rubber line so that we're not actually affecting the cement roof sheet, or wall clad in this case, so that they're then secured only by the ends of the bolt. We then come down to the next level and clip the next bolt, all under accelerated wheel, and then we would take those sheets down to floor level safely and in a controlled manner, ready to be taken to a waste bin of some description, which is, we normally use sealed bins. You can use open top bins, but most clients don't like them. The waste that we produce, that is left in a sealed container. We don't dispose of that. We've got a licensed company that can carry the waste, and we phone them up when we need a changeover. They will then take that to landfill, and all the documentation, the consignment notes, that's supplied to us. We copy that into the client as well, then, so they've got a full paper trail as well. So everything, including the air monitoring and everything else, they have a full brief of everything, and we give them a site file upon completion.